Hello, this is Yarn Over, and I'm your host, Papa Crochet, or you can call me Matt. But either way, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. On this channel, we like to review different yarns. We'll talk about different projects that might be going on and just share overall tips, tricks, etc. What I'd like to do for you today is we're going to go ahead and review a yarn. One of my favorite things, I have a huge stash and collection of yarn. I'm a little bit of a yarn addict, a yarny, whatever you'd like to call it. But today we're going to be reviewing this Ferris wheel yarn. This Ferris wheel yarn by Lion Brand. This is in the color Morning Java, and just to give you a little glimpse of what we're looking like as far as all the different colorations that we have in here, you have kind of all the colors of coffee. So you have grays and creams and oatmeals and chocolates and browns. With this Ferris wheel yarn, just to kind of go over some of the stats here. And we're actually going to take a look at a swatch here in a moment. One of the things that I notice is missing on YouTube, or that there's not a whole lot of, there's a lot of yarn reviewers who will show you the yarn, which is fantastic, especially when, you know, you're not with Joann's closing and a lot of these stores not being around us anymore. You can't hold things in your hand anymore. So it is really helpful with this YouTube community to be able to just kind of look and see what it looks like in relation to the size of it in my hand. So hopefully you find this content helpful, but let's go over some of the stats here. So we have a 3 ounce, 85 gram skein of yarn. It's 270 yards or 247 meters. It is 100% acrylic, and it is machine washable and dryable, which is great. It is categorized as a medium 4-weight yarn, and it recommends a crochet hook size of 5 millimeters or an H size. The yarn itself, let's talk about that. It is categorized as a 4-weight yarn, but I will say that it is pretty thin as far as 4-weight yarns are concerned. It does have a little bit of different thicknesses in different spots, but overall, I would say that this was definitely thinner than I thought. I would categorize this more as a DK or a 3-weight yarn, maybe on the higher side of a 3-weight yarn. I made a throw with this, which is what I'm going to show you in the swatch in a moment. And the throw took me 12 skeins to complete. I do make my throws a little bit oversized, but not terribly. And I found that the 5 millimeter hook size wasn't really working for me. And I actually made this with a 3.5 millimeter hook size. So that could also contribute to why I had to use 12 skeins of yarn. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the blanket or swatch so you can see kind of what this looks like worked up. I'm still working on putting my border on it, but I really, really like this yarn. One thing that I will say is that this is definitely nice and soft. It's not scratchy or a hard yarn. The only gripe that I had with it was some spots get really thin, some spots get really thick. Not really, but thicker and thinner. You can almost kind of see it here. This is a little thinner here, goes to a little thicker thickness here. But I just think it worked out beautifully. The one thing that I really like is that I don't see any real color pooling where you're getting like all of the oatmeal in one spot and not having it kind of go across the line. I didn't do any controlling with this, so I just stitched it kind of as it came out of the skein. And it really just worked up really, really nice. If you have a lot of neutral colors in your home, this is just going to look beautiful. I have a lot of neutral colors. This is actually going to go in my living room on the back of my couch for when we're watching TV. And I love how this worked out. Now, because I used a 3.5mm hook, my clusters, my granny square cluster, this is a granny row blanket, but my clusters were a little bit smaller, but because the yarn is so thin, I didn't want it to be too lacy. You know, I didn't want the gaps in between the stitches to be so vast that it felt like mesh, which I think if I used more of a 5mm hook, it would have felt a little bit more meshy, if you will. But yeah, I just think that it worked out just really nicely. And this is just the simplest pattern that you can get. If you know how to do a granny cluster, you can do a granny row. And it just worked out really, really nicely. So I hope that you liked this video. Please make sure to actually like it, comment, subscribe to my channel. I'll be sharing more content related to different yarns and swatches and what they do look like when they're worked up. And hopefully that's something that you enjoy, and it helps fuel your passion for crocheting and yarn. And also at the same time will help you be able to make those purchase decisions. So again, thank you so much for stopping by today. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a wonderful day.